Today, the state's highest court heard arguments from attorneys for both Republicans and Democrats in a case that will decide whether the GOP can continue conducting business during the DFL boycott. Danny Spiewak was in the courtroom today, joins us now with the latest on this story. Danny?
Well, this afternoon, party leaders from both the House GOP and House DFL sat in the courtroom in the same row, not far from each other, watching their own attorneys battle it out before the state Supreme Court. At heart of the issue here that the Supreme Court is deciding is how many members are legally required to be present in House chambers to operate and conduct House business. The answer that the Supreme Court comes up with will determine what happens with the House.
It's up to the state Supreme Court to figure out the chaos in the Minnesota House.
What we have is a co-equal branch of government that is completely dysfunctional, that is not doing the will and the work of the people of Minnesota.
For more than an hour, Chief Justice Natalie Hudson and her colleagues listened to oral arguments in a legal challenge brought by the Secretary of State and House DFL, who have boycotted sessions for more than a week to protest the GOP's temporary majority.
It is a decision that they made in order to ensure that when the House is duly organized, it represents the will of Minnesota voters.
The DFL is suing to stop the GOP from meeting and to void their election of Representative Lisa Demuth as Speaker, arguing that under the Constitution, the Republicans don't have a quorum to legally operate. The DFL reading of the Constitution and the Supreme Court precedent is that Republicans need 68 members out of 134 total seats, despite the fact that one seat in Roseville is currently vacant.
Quorum does not change with vacancies in Minnesota.
Lawyers for House Republicans, though, say the vacancy matters and that Republicans have exactly the 67 out of 133 current members needed to conduct business. The Constitution never says a number, but the GOP bases its argument on past Supreme Court cases.
But Minnesota has long since made its choice. It's the same choice made by both houses of the U.S. Congress. A quorum is a majority of the members currently sitting.
But the Republicans say separation of powers in the state constitution means the House should decide what's a quorum, not the Secretary of State or the courts.
That is the legislative power, which our Constitution vests in the legislature, not in the judiciary.
And about 90 minutes after these oral arguments finished next door at the Judicial Center before the Supreme Court, House Republicans went back on the House floor for a session in the chamber, again without any members of the DFL present. House Republicans have said they'll continue to hold these sessions unless the court intervenes. We are expecting a decision from the Supreme Court fairly quickly. Some have said potentially as early as tomorrow, but there's just no way of knowing. Back to you.